my darlings, I'm Sophie Darling and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hello, my name is Sophie. I have a doctorate in literature, which means I get way too emotionally invested in the shows that I'm watching. So if that sounds like something you will enjoy, why don't you hit that subscribe button so you never miss a video? Big yawn. Big yawn for a big boy. Oh, another big yawn for the big boy. Oh, yes. He's so precious. He's so precious. Today, we're reacting to episode 22 of Monster. You good? You go back to sleep. You go back to sleep. Oh, big stretch. Last episode, we got some loose ends tied up. We got to learn more about what happened to the two detectives that were working for Johann to kill the Fortners. Muller ended up retiring and joining a syndicate and then got out of the syndicate, then married a woman with a child and became his father figure, and then was beginning to bond with the child, only to essentially sacrifice himself to save Anna after she confronts him and takes the information that he's been gathering on Johann for herself. And then there was the whole him saying he doesn't have a choice, but there's always a choice. And he proved in the end that he did regret what he did and was taking accountability by saving Anna and not just choosing to live a life where he just pretended none of it happened. He wanted to take accountability, and that's what mattered in the end. He's not forgiven for what he did to the Fortners, but it did show that at the core of it, he wanted to be a better man and he couldn't live with not taking accountability, which is like when Temma said he didn't have a choice when it came to the Turkish construction worker dying and the realization that there is always a choice, and he chose wrong and wouldn't allow that to happen again, which led to him saving Johann. Everything has a consequence, really. And it's just whether you can live with yourself after making that choice. And he couldn't live with himself knowing that Johann would die if he didn't operate on him. Likewise, Muller couldn't live with the idea that he let Anna die after he already robbed her of her parents. But we're going to get into episode 22. And now that we've had some more context into Anna and what she's been up to, we are likely gonna maybe see Lunge and Ava, because we've had a lot of Temma and Dita. Now we've seen Anna, so I feel like they're gonna have to bring us back to Lunge and Ava, because we kind of left off with them agreeing to sort of work non-stop to find Temma and bring him to justice, even though he hasn't done anything. So without further ado, we're gonna get into episode 22.
警察はこの事件をどう見てるのかだけでも教えてくださいよ。今回の事件も例の連続殺人の一つと踏んでいるんですか？
Oh, it's another middle-aged couple, isn't it?
歳も子供がいないそうですね。
Don't have kids. Yes, they do.
来ましたよ。連邦捜査局から担当捜査官も来
る
るじゃないですか。やはり一連の連続殺人事件と関連が。おコメント。
こりゃその連邦捜査局の捜査官に直接聞いた方が早そうだな。絶対他氏を出し抜いてみせますって。でっかい見出しのスペースお願いしますよ。
I'm gonna get to the source of the information.
ハンブルクタークのキッパーと言います。連邦捜査局の捜査官ってあなたですよね。一言お願いしますよ。今回の事件、例の中年夫婦殺人との関連性は。
ハンブルクタークのキッパー君、君にだけ特別に教えてあげよう。まさにその通り。今回の事件は連続中年夫婦殺人の一つだ。
やっぱり。
Is it
じゃあ容疑者は例の日本人医師。
一連の殺しと全く同じ手口だ。
特ダネいただき。どうも。
ちょっと待ちたまえ。
Is he baiting?
ハンブルクタークというのはここの有力者だね。
He's baiting because why would he speak to a reporter? He's trying to get Temma to go to the location because he knows that Temma's always in the location where a victim's found. He's smart, which means he's smart enough to know that speaking to a reporter isn't the wisest thing to do.
私は犯人だ。私は今犯人になりきっている。
How would I conduct the murder?
愛想のいい夫婦だ。すんなりと招き入れられ。
So he's walking in the footsteps of the perpetrator. So how does it not click in his mind that it's not Temma? What motive does Temma have to kill middle-aged couples? None.
数分後に主人はあそこの床で絶命する。だが私はまだ行動を開始してはいない。妻はどこだ？そう、まだこの居間にはいない。キッチンでお茶を入れているところだ。
because he's a
お茶は
welcome
出されぬ。
guest.
妻はキッチンで背後から刺されている。ナイフを取り出し、慌てて立ち上がろうとする主人を一突き。おっと潜んじた主人は左手に傷を負いながら逃げる。次の一撃は主人の右肩だ。またもヘマだ。まったく私は素人もいいところだ。主人は妻の名を叫んでいる。
It's not Johan that's killed them, but it'll be Johan that's coordinated the murder.
騒げ、泣き叫べ。
But they
妻はお
clearly
前
were
をやった後
welcoming
で
this
始末できる。
person in if they were
追い
sat
詰めた。
down and there was
主人の左手の跡。このサ
tea
イドボー
being
ドの前
made.
で私は主人を追い詰めた。とどめだ。いや、私はここでもとどめを刺していない。主人の絶命した床まで5メートル。なぜだ。なぜ私はここでとど
There's
めを刺さない。
an album on the floor. It's like he grabbed something off the sideboard and there's an album on the floor near where the husband died.
この男がヨップ夫妻を殺したんですか？
いえ、別にそういうわけではないんです。ちょっとご近所の皆さんにお願いしているだけです。この男が現れたらごく自然に接してください。
He expects Tenma to arrive here. It's a trap, which is why he put it in the newspaper.
それにしても、こんな静かな
So
住
he
宅地
can
で
bait
嫌な事件が起きたものです
Tenma.
ね。
本当にヨップご夫妻いい方でしたのに。
What would be
奥様、
interesting
毎
is
朝
if
声をかける
this
とい
has
つも明
nothing to
るく挨
do
拶
with
して。
Johan.
声をかけると、あの奥さん、1年ほど前から耳が遠くなっていたんですがね。
まさか。まあ、あの奥様のことだから私の気配を察して挨拶されてたのね。
ご近所の方々は奥さんの耳のことご存じない。
多分。
いやー、立派な会社でいらっしゃる。
Interesting. What if it was different people? Or twins? I don't know. Weird.
この度はおじさまおばさまのご不幸、心からお悔やみ申し上げます。
ええ、親戚といえばもうおじおばしかいませんでしたからね。
What if it's him? What if it's him? Sorry, I scared the living shit out of you, didn't I? Sorry. Sorry, is this... No. Be nice. Nice. What if it's him? Because he literally said they're the only relatives I have left. He basically inherited this. Did they not just say that he inherited this after their deaths?
お子さんのいなかったあのご夫婦、おいであるあなたをさぞ可愛がってらしたんでしょうね。
ええ、実のこのように。
He was set to
で、
inherit
犯
everything,
人は捕まる
wasn't
ん
he?
でしょうね。
So what if, like, he did it because he's set to inherit everything from their death, that there's like financial benefit, financial gain? Because I don't think this actually has anything to do potentially with Johan. It might, but I don't think it does. I think it's similar, but it's not identical. But he's using it as a trap to lure Tenma here by saying that it is the same crime, that it's part of the modus operandi, but it's not. It's the nephew that's killed his aunt and uncle because they were making tea. So clearly they felt comfortable with whoever came into the house. The uncle was sat in his favorite chair across from where he was stabbed. So obviously, once again, he feels comfortable with the person in the living room, that he's in his usual seat and they're in front of him. This isn't like a stranger. This is someone they know. It's like an intimate setting. The fact that there's like a hesitation when he gets to the counter, it's because he can see his reflection in the mirror. He can see what he's doing. He doted on this nephew. He treated him like a son. So it's almost like, how could you do this to us when we've been nothing but parental figures to you? Like, how could you treat your family like this? Like, why would you do this? So that's sort of why he hesitated with the death blow, because he's having to confront the reality of killing those that have treated him like a son, of killing parental figures, and he's having to look himself in the eye and muster once more that resolve to finish the job. And I think maybe he hesitated because he regretted what he was doing, but he knew he had to because it was already too late at this point. But I definitely don't think this is Johan. I think it's the nephew.
ほぼ断定しています。
And I think he already
やはり、
knows
例の
that
日
the
本人の
nephew is
元
the
医者。
culprit.
これはお詳しい。遺産はどのくらいにな
See?
りますかね。
Inheritance.
いや、ヨップ氏はあれだけの資産家でらしたので。
それが何か事件に関係あるん
Yeah,
です
you
か？
did it for the inheritance money.
遺産の相続人はやはりあなた一人
It's him.
ってことになってるんでしょうね。
なんだって言うんですか。
Because
こんな
no
時に
one
する
that
話
has
じゃない
killed
でし
under
ょ。
Johan's orders have been
表
this
向き
sloppy.
華々しい業績を上げている会社でも裏を返せばその経営は火の車なんてことはよくあるものです。
なんなんだねあなたは。まるで私が遺産目当てにやったとでも言いたげな口ぶりだな。
He's not insinuating. He has evidence, probably.
秘書と部下を連れて商談を食事に出かけて証人もいる。
Did he hire a hitman?
あなたは犯人じゃありませんよ。
Nah, I still think he's involved in it.
とぼけないでくださいよ。私この数日間あの甥っ子について調べたんです。彼の会社は一見有料だが裏では株や投資に失敗して内情は相当逼迫している。それにあなたは甥の会社周辺を徹底的に洗っている。どうなんです本当のところは。
Oh, he's sharp.
あなた本当にこの事件連続中年夫婦殺人の一つと見ているんですか？
No, he
う
doesn't.
ちの独占スクープで各紙みんな同じ論調になってるんですよ。もし一連の殺人事件と無関係なら大誤報ということになる。
He's trying to
君の言
trap
う通りだ
Tamba.
よ。
He's trying to bait him.
模倣犯の仕業だよ。一連の事件に見
Oh,
せかけ
okay, maybe it wasn't the
や
nephew.
っ
I
ぱ
thought
り
it was the
その
nephew.
記事の内容を変
But
更し
no,
な
a
くちゃ。
copycat.
た。いや、今のままでいい。今のまま記事は連続中年夫婦殺人として書くん
I
だ。
mean, copycat killers do happen.
なんでそんな嘘の記事を。
いいから書くんだ。
私はこう見えてもジャーナリストの端くれでね、圧力かけても無駄ですよ。
キッパー君と言ったね。なんとも魅力的な女性じゃないか。温かい家庭、素敵な奥さんと娘さんがいるというのに、あんな魅力的な女性では浮気の
Oh,
虫がうずくの
blackmail.
も理からぬことかね。今まで通り、いや、
I
今以上
mean,
に
he's
中
not
年夫婦
a
殺しの
detective for no
復讐を
reason.
そうすれば必ず奴はや
Oh,
ってくる。
yeah, it's bait. It's a trap.
期待しているよ。
And he's blackmailing him to get him to still put it in the newspaper by knowing that he's having an affair on his wife.
ちょっと伺いたいことがあ
Oh,
るん
and
です
here's Temba. So we've got a copycat killer. I thought it was the nephew. I genuinely was like, it's going to be the nephew, but no, copycat.
あのご夫婦はおいごさんをとても可愛がっていらしたし。あ、お茶もう一杯いかが？
あ、いえも
そうおっしゃらずに。
Oh, she's like, I've seen you before.
あの写真の男です。今うちにいます。
そうですか。ご協力ありがとうございます。誰だね。
例の殺されたヨップ夫妻の甥っ子です。
あんた私が犯人だと思ってるだろう。
Well,
そうなんだろう。
obviously, because you have a motive.
私が財産を狙って2人を殺した。本当はそう思っているんだろう。確かに私には今借金がいくらかある。彼らの残した財産は私をこのピンチから救ってくれるだろ
Well, that's awfully coincidental.
そんなことでいらしたんですか。
う。そんなこと
He really doesn't
人
show
を
what
犯
he's
人扱い
thinking
して
on
おい
his
て
face.
そんな
It's
ことは
so
なんだね。
clever. No one can manipulate him that way.
ところがありまして。
待ちたまえ。この間の無礼な言い方撤回してもらいたいね。
警察がつけていたあなたへの尾行、取りやめになりましたよ。ここの警察はあなたを白と踏んだ。それでいいじゃないですか。
So if it's not him, then who did it?
そんなものどうでもいいんです。
He's not here to find the culprit. He's here to find Temba. It's just a convenient way to get to Temba.
そこに結婚があるということは
Will they actually speak to each other?
子
Will
孫じた。
they meet? Or
それじゃあなたは今回の事件は例の日本人医師の犯行じゃないと思っているのか。
いわば一連の中年夫婦殺しの模倣犯というやつですか。
どうしてそんなことが言えるんだ。
一連の事件にはないものが今度の事件にはあるんです。
a handprint.
犯人はここで被害者を追い詰めた。しかしここではなく、あんな離れたところでとどめを刺している。なぜだ。
Oh, maybe it wasn't a photo album. It was the number card to label the evidence. I thought it was an album. I thought it was so clever.
私が追っている男が犯した事件の現場
But no, I
は
was
物取
completely
りの
wrong.
犯行に見せかけてはいるが、全く感情が感じられないんですよ。
But he felt emotion when he saw himself in the mirror.
鏡に自分と被害者の顔が映った程度でうろたえている。ここの警察は能なしですから。
They're incompetent!
どう考えても
By
ヨハ
saying
ンの
they're
犯行を真似
incompetent,
た模倣犯の仕業だ。
is it that he suspects that the nephew still has something to do with it? But no, it is a copycat apparently, but...
久しぶりですね。
It has been a while. But he's also come on his own because obviously
や
he's
っと
not supposed to
会え
be
ましたね。
working
ドクター天馬。
on this case anymore. But he's decided he's going to keep doing it.
もう逃げても無駄です。いつまでこんなことを繰り返すつもりですか、ドクター天馬。
It's the slow, menacing steps.
もうおしまいに。
お前さえいなけれ
Ooh! Yes, so the nephew did do it.
私だ。私がヨップ夫妻を殺した。自首する。許して。
お前などに興味はない。私の邪魔をするな。
くそ。
Oh my god, it's like a horror film. He's like, fucking let me in. You can't leave him. He's a doctor. You can't leave him. Oh my god, are they gonna think it was him? He's gonna save him.
なんだこの傷は。このままじゃ出血
He's
多量
gonna
で死ん
save
でしまう。
him. If this isn't evidence to Longe that he couldn't possibly
誰がルンゲ警部を
be a killer, because
病院の
he
前で下ろして逃げ
would
るし
have
か
let
ない。
him die if that was the case, but no. Whoa! He's trying to save you! Holy fuck. This has gone from like 0 to 100 real fucking quick.
気がついたか。手錠の鍵はどこにあるんだ。銃を
He
探して
can't
も無駄だ。
help you
あなたの銃は預かっている。
if he doesn't have
そ
his
んなことより
hands
早く
free.
手錠の鍵を。このままじゃ手の施しようがない。あなたの傷口を見た。
You're gonna
傷は幸い
die!
復興内までは達していない。ただしその大量の出血、血を止めなきゃあなたは死ぬぞ。
He doesn't care.
自白しろ、ドクター天馬。
Is it really worth your life? Is this really worth your
アイ
life?
スラー記念病院での院長ら3人の殺害。
Didn't do it.
過去3年間の連続中年夫婦殺し。
You're blinded.
あなた本当に死ぬんだぞ。
すべてはヨハンの仕業か。
Yes.
自分は真犯人のヨハンを探しているか。
Yes.
ヨハンなどこの世にいやしない。ヨハンはお前自身だ。ドクター天馬。自白しろ。火の打ちどころのない善人面か。その手で何人を殺した。
No one.
いつヨハンに変わるんだ。いつその善人面が殺人鬼に表変するんだ。
Never, because they're separate people. He thinks they're split personality.
私に間違いなどない。
You are wrong, and you're
血圧
blinded
の
by
低下
that.
で意識が朦朧としているんだ。
お前の犯行現場には、お前の犯行現場には、感情がない。毎日、人の生死を扱っていると、感情がなくなるもんだな。ドクター天馬。
No, they don't.
それだよ。
Because he feels the emotions that come with having someone's life in his hands and the consequences of it. He feels it deeply. He carries it with him.
私はいつも手術のたび、ミスはないだろうか。本当はビクビクしていた。私の手に人の生死がかか
How
って
could
い
he
るんだ。
not be trembling?
冷静でいられるわけがないだろう。
You think you know him, but you don't.
あなたを助ける。
撃つ。
その血を止める。鍵はどこだ。あなたのズボンのポケットか。
Is your pride going to be your own downfall? He's gonna save him.
どうやら応急処置が完璧だったらしい。医者が言ってたよ。あの的確な処置がなかったら今頃命はなかったろうって。
天馬は命の恩人というわけですね。
Yeah,
ま
you
あ
do.
天馬には逃げられたが、ジーベルはヨップ夫妻殺しを自供した。ルンゲは天馬に命を救われた。
Why would he do
こうな
that?
ると天馬逮捕に支障をきたすかもしれん。ルンゲは天馬の剣から外すべきか。
You know what I mean? Like, why are they not questioning? Why would Tenma save the person that's investigating into him? Surely he would want to silence him, or he would have no qualms killing him, but he doesn't.
なんだかとても楽しんだそうです。
楽しい？
よくおっしゃってますよ。こんな楽しいことはないって。
Cat and mouse
何て言い
game.
ましたっけ、あの犯人。そうそう、天馬。天馬みたいな犯人を追うのは最高に楽しいって。
Oh my god, he still thinks that Tenma is a serial killer. Oh my god, dude. Such an interesting character, but really fucking infuriating. Because he goes on about how the police are inept. The police don't know what the fuck they're doing. Because again, they're like not looking at the nephew. They basically said, oh, the nephew's innocent. And then he was saying, oh, it's a copycat killer. But I was like, it has to be the nephew. Unless the nephew was just intending to be a copycat killer. Because again, the circumstances work out similar in that they didn't have children, middle-aged couple. But he was blood related to them, whereas Johan isn't blood related. So it's copycat in that regards. But he definitely did it for the inheritance. He definitely did it because he was in debt. He's not doing it because he's like modeling himself after Johan. I think that's where I got confused, because copycat to me is a serial killer that's like trying to imitate by becoming that serial killer, and you see it all the time. But he's not. He's just copying what Johan did, but for his own financial gain. So the circumstances are similar but not identical. Therefore, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a copycat killer, because again, a copycat killer is somebody that is a serial killer themselves, but is trying to mimic another serial killer by like following the modus operandi exactly. But he's not following the modus operandi exactly. He's only following it in terms of the targets match the profile, but the situations don't, because he's their nephew. And again, Johan doesn't necessarily financially benefit from killing the middle-aged couples. He's literally just doing it to erase his past, as far as we're aware. I don't think it's ever talked about him having anything gained from killing them, other than like he thinks that he can wipe out anyone that can link back to him. So, you know, he's berating the other police force for not looking deeper into things. But again, he's also not doing that. He's almost hypocritical in the sense that he's not looking at it from a different perspective. He's so hell-bent on this idea that Temma is also Johan, that there's like a split personality, that he refuses to see any other option, any other route. And that's sort of the implication we got, I think it was episode 20, with the police detective who was retired, that basically said he saw so many bad people in his life that he's so used to seeing the bad, the worst in people, and never the good. And that was something that he felt made him a bad detective in the end, because he was only ever looking for the worst characteristics. Whereas he has learned and grown and changed, whereas Longay is still sort of set in that perspective. He automatically assumes that Temma is guilty. And yet it doesn't look right. But then at the same time, if that other detective that was working for Muller could gather all that information and put it together, how is Longay not able to do the same? Do you get what I mean? Like, there's so many flaws with Longay, especially this whole I am never wrong. But in this situation, you are wrong. And that's like a fatal flaw in his character, is that like he genuinely thinks that he can never be wrong, that he's always right, and therefore nothing can contradict his analysis and his presumption. And Temma doesn't fit into the profile. Temma also has no connection to these couples. Something's not fitting in the picture, but yet you are still hell-bent on him actually being the one to have killed everyone. Yes, he's at the locations, but bar being at the locations, he's only at the locations after the murders have already happened. He's not at the locations beforehand. So why is this not clicking for Longay? Again, I might be overly critical of him, but because we've already seen a detective gather all this information on Johan, why has Longay not done the same? Again, it's a fatal flaw in Longay in only having Temma as a suspect and believing Temma is split personality. He's not looking deeper into the matter. So he's going to end up being like this retired police detective where he's not able to see the truth beneath his own nose, because he's like a dog after a rabbit. Nothing can sidetrack him. He's just after Tenma, and now he's locked into this cat and mouse game of finding him, of chasing him and cornering him, without also looking at the fact that if Tenma is the serial killer, Tenma should have let him die. Tenma would have no qualms letting him die because it would prevent further people from chasing him because they wouldn't have his last known location. And he also wouldn't be able to give them further information that he was tracking Tenma. So the fact that Tenma didn't kill you, Tenma gave you life-saving first aid, should again be evidence that, hold up a second, he's not fitting the profile of somebody killing without emotion. He also saved my life. If he was somebody that didn't care about lives, then he would just have let me die and wouldn't have felt any guilt for it. But he couldn't because he felt the burden of responsibility for saving your life. Longe is infuriating me. I understand that Longe is operating on the information that he knows, but I think what makes it more infuriating is that we've seen another detective who likely has the exact same access to information that Longe does, come out with information that aligns with Tenma's story, with what Tenma told Longe at the beginning, but somehow Longe doesn't pursue this information, doesn't find it himself. That's what's frustrating me. But I knew it was a fucking nephew. I knew it was, and then I was being gaslit. But I love that like play on words where basically he said that the police were incompetent because they had essentially cleared the nephew as innocent, which was his way of saying, I know you're guilty of it, but I'm not actually here for you. I'm here for somebody else. So I can't really pursue this because this isn't my case. But the police made the wrong call in saying that you were innocent, which is why he tracked him to the house, because again, he knew in that moment that Longe knew he was guilty. You could also see sort of the tension that he was feeling when Longe was like setting out the motives, and he was like, oh fuck, like somebody's figured this out, so it's only a matter of time, so I have to silence the person that could like continue to advise that I'm a suspect, especially because the police here have cleared me. I don't know what his thinking was, but it was stupid. I was silly. I saw something on the floor and I thought it was like one of the albums because it focused on the chest of drawers and then like the mirror. And then there was like 2 photo albums and then one was like tipped over, but then it looked like in the middle one was missing because there was like a big gap between them. So when I saw the thing in the corner, I thought, oh, that must be the photo album, and that maybe he grabbed it as a way of like trying to emotionally connect with his nephew once more, but it's not. It's the evidence card because they mark where the evidence is for easier tracking and noting. But yeah, you couldn't have seen that it was an evidence card until like Tenma was looking at the crime, but or maybe you did and I was just being stupid. I could have just been stupid. But thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this react, please consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment below to help boost this video into the algorithm. And until next episode, bye!